And during debate, the proposals for amendments would obviously, by the House, I think the subject was still...
We'll make progress. What the members are telling you is that a bill came from your ministry with these contentious proposals to the House. When it was picked up and spread like wildfire, the ministry maintained a conspiracy of silence. Instead of coming up to say, it was our bill, we withdraw it so that you quell the fire, you said nothing. But that is, let's move on. Posing?
Thank you, Speaker. I think there is need for better communication.
Yes.
I agree with you throughout the entire government, including my former ministry.
Yes, even His Excellency the President has said, lamented, that one of the weaknesses in the government is poor communication. You're doing good things which nobody knows. And when you do bad ones, you don't own up.
Questions on housing levy.
Okay.
Yes,
Speaker. We proceed to the housing levy question. I was asked by Honorable Koech how many people or youth we have employed under the affordable housing levy program. I want to confirm that in our records we have about 106,000 youth, both men and women, and I want to add here that most of them are youthful, below 35, and we ensure also that we include women because we have women who have the skills and artisan skills. Yes.
Youth has no gender. It's just...
Sometimes when you say a man, it is said it is also a woman, but until you say, yes, so the gender is also continue with the housing, affordable housing levy, and I'm aware that it is also still in court. Would I say that up to now we have over 100, we have at least 48,000 housing units that are in different stages of construction, between maybe 20% and 95%, some nearing completion. In fact, we expect that we will be launching several of those to continue. But this one in terms of employment or self-sustaining, if we can allow the levy to continue, and I giving, including allow housing to people who proceed with it.
I thank you, Honorable Speaker. And if we were to be direct to the question and answer, we would say we are almost spending 1 hour only for leadership of the House. We have not even had anything ourselves. So, Speaker, what is mine? Mine is this. Nominee, Honorable Alice Wahome. This issue of house levy or house tax, of course, was very controversial, and it is still controversial. However, because it is in place, it is mainly in urban. It's only in urban. And the people who are paying are in the villages. And most of us in Parliament, we represent village constituencies. About 80% of this country is village, or 70% for that matter. And even if, and you know, the government has run to talk about jobs, creation of jobs. My view, Minister, is, if you are confirmed, what will be the housing plan for the rural people who are also paying this tax and paying this levy for people in towns to enjoy houses and to enjoy my constituency or constituency rural? Who will enjoy those jobs? Nobody will enjoy those housings, right? But we are losing money. So what is it that we are advising even the president or the government in terms of saying, these guys in the rural are paying these taxes or levy, but this is our housing plan for them, so that we can actually move as a country. Thank you, Speaker.
Vicaria.
Thank you, Chair. I will only ask questions that have been raised by Kenyans. The chairman of the IDP camp in Nakuru called New Canaan is asking, after the settlement of the court cases referring to Donga Farm and Kisima Farm, when is the ministry intending to do the titling? Secondly, there is a guy from Joro asking about Ndefo plot in Menengai Slopes and whether there will be titles, whether you will be giving titles to that place called Ndefo plots. Thirdly, is a teacher in my constituency asking about...
Point of order, Mr. Speaker.
Yes.
Mr. Speaker, not to interrupt, questions can only be answered by the minister when she is in office substantively. Whether she can give me a title or not. She can't give anything. She's jobless.
Honorable Gikaria, you are assessing the suitability or otherwise being reappointed Minister for Lands. Now you're asking her to issue...
Let me rephrase.
Under what authority?
Let me rephrase.
Yes.
Assuming she's appointed to that, assuming she's appointed to that position, Honorable Chair, because these are pertinent issue, Honorable Chair.
On another point of order,
yes.
I think Honorable Junet's point of order was very legitimate, yes, because the questions Honorable Gikaria is asking, even if the minister is approved, are the questions that we change our standing orders for, to cause the minister to appear before the House to answer such questions. These are not questions for a vetting process.
Alice, answer.
I think in
Gikaria, you have relayed concerns of your constituents.
Thank you very much.
Which are not vetting questions.
Maybe the last one, and that is related to the affordable housing.
Go ahead.
Is related to the program. Is a very good program when, for purposes of employment. But the contractors who are given that do not come and actualize that by adhering to the labor laws, by paying, say, for city rates or the rates that are there in the labor law. Maybe what action will she take to confirm that this will be done? And people
if she's confirmed.
Thank you.
Again, she can't take action unless we say she'll be a minister. Now, but you can answer those.
I think largely in terms of titering, I want to say that we are not on course because we need better funding for titering. The total number of, in terms of percentage, the country has about 30% of our land titled. Meaning,
Alice, who has asked you that?
Because
the questions they asked
on the titles.
Holding. Posing just asked you about how do rural folks in Kenya benefit from housing levy?
I'm
very simple.
Gikaria.
The second one of Gikaria was, will titles be given to some 2 farms? So it's not titling generally.
Let me say that I think you saved me from answering Gikaria's question.
Yes.
And then we leave it at that.
Are you the one I told last time about reading a book of a witness who talked too much?
No, not me.
It was not you.
Not me.
Yes.
And I'm sure.
I think it was Linturi.
Yes. So I will leave that question. On the question of IDPs is gone. Affordable housing in rural areas.
Yes.
This is a new program, Honorable Speaker, Honorable Members. It's a new program. It's just starting, and it has been met by various challenges, including litigation. Are entitled to decent housing. I see the program moving there, going forward.
Mary Amase.
Thank you, Chairman. I had 2 questions, but one of them has been, I think, prosecuted well. It was on the proposed levy on land.
Very good.
But there is need of lives and property. Oversight of the construction industry falls under the ambit of the State Department of Public Works. So my question is, what has been done to address these cases and to avoid future incidences? In your view, are these measures sufficient?
Alice?
A authority, that is NCA, touring that only people who are qualified are contractors. But the problem is not just about contractors. I think the problem is deeper. We have people taking shortcuts, and some people also we need to work collaboration with the county governments, because some of the buildings coming up do not even have the issue of the National Construction Authority or enforcement should start at a further place at the county level. And I think that...
Mr. Speaker, I just want to comment on one thing before I ask you a question. From your CV, you have said you're a member of parliament from 2022 to 2027. So does it mean you were not a minister? I know you were elected until 2027, but you had to resign to... No, it's in her CV, that's what I'm saying. So you need to correct your CV.
I will look at that, because it was only 2022.
Let me ask you my question now. Adjudication mistakes on land are normally sometimes done at the lands office, and it costs people to rectify those mistakes in acreage or size or whatever, about 18,000 shillings to rectify. And not just that, you have to pay, initially you had to pay 150 or 300 or 500 to 3,000 shillings. And there was no public participation when you increased the charge from 300 to 3,000 shillings. Somebody has got 10 parcels of land under adjudication, has to pay 30,000. That's even before you factor in other... One question. The second question, what is your take on the Dungu Land Commission lands, which were cancelled, which there is a report regarding the same? The last one is regarding, there is a report regarding the same. The last one is regarding affordable housing. You have talked about it, and my colleagues have talked about it. And doing if it is not being used, and those lands are, those housing projects are just stationary. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. If you allow me another one, but I think...
Ferdinand, take two. You are appointed as CS. I want to find out, because you going around, like you go to Mathare and other places which are congested. There's no plan at all so that you find people living in a very affordable way. What plan do you have to be able to at least streamline some of these upcoming dwelling facilities that actually are causing problems? You'll find that even getting electricity in a place like that is not there. And somebody staying in a place in Mathare, and water is actually passing through her house. So what plan would you have for that kind of thing? Secondly, I come from Trans Nzoia. This affordable housing scheme, have you actually ignored Trans Nzoia? Or what is happening when it's supposed to be countrywide projects that's supposed to help people in areas that Trans Nzoia, where people who actually also need those affordable housing? Alice?
I have not picked, let me start with Kari, but if we have no affordable housing program coming, I think I want to assure you that the first entry to the affordable housing program is the 290 constituencies. Every constituency is a minimum of 210 housing units. So yes, we will be there. And of course, there with the available land, I won't say when, because it's a program that as soon as possible, maybe we don't even have land in your place, so you needed to work with the ministry to get land for that. And I'm not saying there isn't, because I don't have my document with me. I believe in Trans Nzoia County, we already have some affordable housing programs coming up. Who are you? Yeah. We do have. It's okay. We will be there, and I'm sure that it is every other wish of member to work with the ministry to ensure that they are there faster than maybe the event plan. Yeah. Then the slum upgrading. We have a very good slum upgrading program. It's the one working in, for example, in Kibera. We are in Mukuru. What I can say is that the government needs support for the affordable house. For the slum upgrading is even cheaper. Those houses are even cheaper than the social for goodwill in terms of funding.
Yes, hold there. We are now classified as a middle-income country, right?
Generally.
Kenya. Not generally. We are classified.
Yes.
We are not a HIPIC. Highly indebted. Now, when you talk of slum upgrading, is your policy to eliminate slums or to upgrade slums? How do you upgrade a slum?
That could be the terminology that we are using, but basically, you know, we are providing the necessary infrastructure, water, ensuring that the necessary facilities, including electricity, connectivity, and is available, and roads. And the program is well funded by the UN, the European Union, AFD. So I think that the question is, why are we talking of slum upgrading instead of slum eradication? Maybe that is something we can think about and change the name.
No, I think if I have understood her well, Speaker, she's saying they want to make that people can still live in slums.
That cannot be the direction of our...
it is basically once we work, we eliminate the slum. So possibly we need to change the wording of that program, the title.
I think, thank you, Mr. Speaker. Let's begin by saying maybe that concept of them.
Yes.
Those are the people who brought that beautiful, nice things up country and a slum upgrading. Two questions. The first one is on housing levy. We are interested in this because we are told we have actually collected lots of money through those levies. And there was a report in the papers that the PS had actually invested the money on treasury bonds. That sounded a little bit odd, but you may need to confirm whether indeed we do have that surplus, and that is the route we are taking, while at the same time, His Excellency the President has taken another route of saying, instead of just affordable housing for people to buy, we will now put up hostels in institutions, which I think is a very good program that would go side by side with the affordable housing. On land, again, if you are confirmed, we have experienced the president going around the country and interacting with the people. They do not have title deeds, and we need those title deeds. And he makes generous plans. I'll be back here to give you the titles that you need. As the person responsible for policy, are there policies in place where you can actually carry out those premises without having to embarrass it, so that those down there do not say he gave false promises, etc., etc. You're able to carry out to the letter when the promise is made, it's actually executed.
Alice, Dawood is protesting that you didn't answer his question. Yes. And then Dungu report. Go ahead.
I asked 3 questions. I asked about the adjudication, about the Dungu report and the affordable housing, where nothing is going on, and you've got 24 putting in treasury bills or bonds.
Yes, Minister.
I could start by looking at the Dongo report is a very good document report, and I know that properties that are within and picked by the Dongo report will clearly indicate the kind of cartel that I was talking about. I know I was asked to define what is a cartel. I think, in short, a cartel is a thief. The Dongo report, some of the land recovered has been recovered through the EACC. Have had to go to court through EACC, and it is work in progress. The report is still live. That's what I would say. Affordable housing, everybody wants affordable housing, but there is also recognition that there has been a lot of disruption on this particular program, both by cases and therefore implementation, and that's why we had some money not able to implement immediately, because when you have also cases going on, you need first to understand where you are, and also already procured for all that money you are talking about. What happened, Honorable Speaker, is that the last financial year, 2023-2024, we had a balance that was not utilized because payments had not been done to the tune of about, and it would be reckless to hold money into a general account without investing it, even if it's short being invested because there is no work. We have 106,000 housing units. Right now we are releasing the newly procured ones, over 55,000, and therefore I want to confirm that that money is already taken up, plus of course unexpected maybe annual income through the levy of about 62 to 63 billion shillings if the Kenya revenue does its work properly, and I think that is the amount we expect, so per year about 63 to 65 billion shillings. So the 38 is part of the budget that we presented and will all be spent in this year. So Dawu, I want to encourage you. I believe that I'm here to seek support also for when that happens. Then if that happens, I think on my part I should say if that happens, then we should be looking at. Meru is a beneficiary of some of our affordable housing. We've come there with the president. So maybe we have not reached your constituency.
No, Speaker, they have launched with His Excellency, put the stone.
Your question is that we have not
moved
started.
Even one way, and they've got the money in the account while she was the minister. That's why I'm not saying if she's confirmed. While she was the minister, it has not moved.
Sometimes, Honorable Speaker, I appreciate the concern of the Honorable Member. Sometimes lack of takeoff is because of various things. Maybe documentation, perfection is not complete, logistical issues. Sometimes even when we do proper investigation, you find that the contractor who had said that they are able to take off sometimes get a bit of delay, and we are supporting even local contractors. So I don't think it's a case where we are that so strict. We are working with our local contractors, and sometimes logistical issues. And thank you, Honorable Judet, for once. I know it is a very important key issue in terms of implementation.
Yes, Owen.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. I want to ask one question, one very important nominee. Land in this country is one of the reasons why we had the 2010 Constitution. It's one of the key aspects. And it actually gave birth to Article 67, which formed the National Lands Commission, where people from regions that for a long time had issues on land, especially historical land injustices, that gave birth to Ndungu Report, Njonjo Report, and many other reports, pushed and voted. My people woke up very early in the morning to go and vote for the new constitution, not because of any other thing, but because of land, especially the coast. Today in Parliament, over 80% of the petitions are actually on issues related to land and security. Now, I am reliably informed that since you became CS, you have never had a meeting with the board, the National Lands Commission. You have never had a meeting with the board, the National Lands Commission. A formal meeting to actually sit, and discuss issues and give leadership in the sector. And I think this is bringing issues as we move forward. But Honorable Speaker, Honorable Speaker, what I would like to say this. We have moved amendments to amend the National Lands Commission Act.
so that we can extend their mandate in a review of grants and hearing historical land injustice. But the biggest, including a letter that we received which is signed by you, that you know there are certain issues. Committee said that the minister did not make an input. But when we passed the law in Parliament, when it was going now, we are supposed to send it to us, and we respected your letter, held back. But the vibes I get, if I can use that word, the vibes I get is that probably the minister does not want the National Lands Commission to exist. She wants absolute power to run whatever she wants, the show in the land sector, and they have to run whatever she wants, the show in the land sector. And they are
making a speech. Can you ask a question?
So my question is, do you still want to review the law, especially section 14, the law, especially section 14 and 15 of the National Lands Commission, to give them power to review grants and to hear historical injustice, review that, and deny the National Lands Commission the power, or you have changed your mind about it?
In those many words, he's asking, are you hostile to the National Land Commission? And have you ever met them since you became minister?
Maybe I will repeat first that I don't know where your information is coming from, Honorable Member, but I said that I enjoy cordial relationship with Otachi Garrison, the chairman, and his commission. That is one. We have not had any conflict, either by exchange of letter or by verbal exchange. So the source you have could be a very biased or an incorrect source. I am working with them. Remember, they are also an independent commission, and their mandate, they must also not encroach on the mandate of the executive, because their mandate is very clear in the Constitution, and I have no personal interest or ministerial interest or executive interest to encroach on their mandate. But they must also remember there is also the clear mandate they have, and we have. I have met them, Honorable Chair, in various meetings, formal meetings. I have met the board, and when the chair also confirmed that the board is coming, some of the members did not come, and I don't want to go into that, because the commission, I think you need to summon the commission yourself as Parliament. The commission has its own challenges. I think it's right now maybe a bit.
You say you have no problem with them, then continue to list their problems.
Not myself, person, their own challenges, not between me and them, Honorable Chair.
Okay, it's
that's what
them.
I'm saying. Okay. Maybe the reason they are not working is the challenge between, but not between me. They have handed over during a formal meeting the national land policy, because as their mandate, they recommend to the ministry. They had a whole morning meeting then. So, and the chairman also paid a courtesy call. We have had other mini meetings for various things with the chair and any other commission that has an issue to deal with.
If you
I'm okay.
You speaker.
Microphone.
Amendment of section 14
I think my
and 15.
take would be the take of everybody else. I mean, I work for the country. If those provisions, that particular maybe amendment you are talking about, if it is subjected to public participation and debate goes through, then I wouldn't be the one who would hold it. But I don't want it's okay, because it may not be okay for many other stakeholders.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honorable Alice Wahome, this Ministry of Lands has been saying, and the issue of even when you watch news, many times you find people have been kicked out of their houses because of the issue of fake titles, which you've addressed very well, I must say. What action do you propose to take if you are approved on the staff of the ministry that are clearly in many instances involved in the same fraud? Because you've given us a direction on what you do with the fraudsters outside, but what about the staff? Because those ones are your staff. And secondly, when Kenya Kwanza came into office, there was the promise that the issue of evictions and demolitions of people's homes, would be a thing of the past. You saw over 10,000, and that still continues to happen. In fact, recently, I think some people are kicked out of some estates within the city of Nairobi, and not enough, and part of it never even got to the registered owners. How do you, has the policy changed? And if so, how do you what do you want to tell those Kenyans that have such issues and are concerned?
Let's take. We're going this way? No, we're coming that way. Amisi?
Speaker, for starting where I am. Speaker, I've been quietly listening to these proceedings. I may not be a happy person because I expected, we vetted the nominee before us 2 years or the nominee before us 2 years or so ago, and she has served in various portfolios. I expected a progress report, sort of success stories, her, but I can just see a lot of verbosity on this and this land issue. This land issue, Speaker, it affects even the public offices. If you look at the audit report of parastatus and the government agencies, 90% of the audit is just on land, either ownership, one entity taking another one to court, one parastato, and it consumes a humongous amount of money between legal fees and accounting fees and surveying fees. So it is an area that you do not just talk about it in the passing. So I want to hear from the nominee. Yes, she has served there, she's going there back. I don't have your progress report so far, but the issue of parastatals and the government.
You say she's going back before we decide?
Yes, if she's approved. Yes. The issue of parastatals and the government agencies taking each other to court on land issues. Is there a policy statement that you can solve it once and for all so that we save this country a lot of money that is being used between lawyers and the legal firms in all the parastatals, virtually all of them, and the perennial historical land injustices. I come from Kitale, and I think you've been there. You've tried to come across the land issue of the Kitale prisons, and it is across the country. We are perennially in constant problems with our constituents and the grabbers and landowners and the government entities perennially. Can it stop once for all? Can we have a progress report from your ministry going forward?
Answer the question by Robert and Missy.
From Robert, what am I doing with my staff? What have I done with the staff that I have said that sometimes they are part and parcel of the cartels? Since I got into the ministry, we have had 4 arrested officers and charged in court. There is another 3 under disciplinary processes. Extent and have had a meeting with all the registrars in the country to restate the policy and the position of the minister and government in terms of this business of participating in fraud. And they know, and we have many other cases with the DCI, and I think there will be likely other officers that will be taken away by those cases. I think I could say to that, and I have also said that I intend to come back to Parliament to provisions that will help to deal with the fraudsters. Then you asked, I think the question on kicked out, I don't understand that one. Demolitions of people who Mathare and elsewhere during the rain season. I think half of those people had already suffered a big blow for being within the riparian and the watercourse area. And even those who were affected because of building along the river were also calling for government intervention to be provided for with homes. We have, I think the estimated numbers, if I'm not wrong, and those would be mainly with the Kindiki, because of interior coordination, was about maybe 20. The rough estimate that came to the cabinet was about 20,000 Kenyans that were affected by the demolitions. I think demolitions are right now not going on, but it was so that they are removed from already insecure space along the river, where in any event they were being devastated by the floods, because we experienced out of the normal, maybe beyond the normal of the floods or rainfall. Therefore, I think going forward as a government, we need better, maybe, these are emergencies and you require maybe money to be able to settle those kind of people. So I think everything adds up with, do we have funding to be able to resettle them? They were given 10,000 and some, I'm told some, I think there is information that some may not have received, which is still not sufficient, but it was a gesture for people who also, Kenyans must stop also building along the rivers. I don't know, I know and I understand and I believe that these Kenyans don't have maybe better places, but remember some of the people utilizing, some of those people are not the owners of the structures. The structures could be owned by people living elsewhere. I mean, on government parastatal, I think land moving from one maybe person to another, parastatal fighting each other and cases in court. I have already proposed to the executive that we circulate, before I left office, that I think in June I proposed that all the departments, all the ministries forward to the ministry the list of their properties so that we can now start cracking holistically so that we have a one government approach in terms of recovery. To circulate that request, to call for departments to forward all land that is said and known to have been grabbed. We will be working on that. Of course, I will require police, I will require the investigative agencies, and I will require the EACC. And I think then it is, whether I'm the minister or not, Kenyans should be prepared to move from government-owned properties because it is public wealth, it is public property, and it is horrible where, as the situation where we are. And I agree with you, we should give it a one holistic approach so that we clear with it once and for all.
Thank you, Chair. Honorable Waziri, I just want to ask you one question regarding the pending bills, because I understand there are many pending bills in your ministry. I need to know how you are going to sort it out, considering the current financial state at the moment. The other question is about compensation. There are many Kenyans who have given their ad to the government, and they've been waiting for their money, and it's like it's taking too long. Thank you.
Ms. Shimbogo.
Asante sana mwenyekiti, nitauliza maswala mawili, swala la kwanza kwa lugha ya Kiswahili na swala la pili kwa lugha ya Kiingereza. Swala langu la kwanza, Mheshimiwa Wahome ambaye umekuwa waziri katika hii wizara kwa muda mfupi, ningependa kujua mikakati ambayo utaweka katika wizara yako na kupitia serikali kuu ya Kenya Kwanza ya kuhakikisha ya kwamba Wakenya wengi ambao wamejenga kwa miaka nenda miaka rudi katika zile ardhi ambazo zilikuwa zinaitwa GL ama government land, na zile ardhi ambazo kuna absentee landlord, yani wale wamiliki hawajuliki, na pia wale ambao wamejenga katika ardhi za wale wamiliki ambao walipatiwa ile tunaita grants ama zabuni, na watu kama hao hawajafika katika sehemu hawajulikani, kwa sababu kihistoria wakati wa nyuma kulikuwa na siasa zile ambazo mtawala akiingia anaweza kupatia marafiki grant ya mashamba katika sehemu tofauti tofauti, na jambo hili limefanyika sana katika sehemu ya bonde la Ufa na sehemu ya Pwani. So ni mikakati gani ambayo serikali kupitia wizara yako itafanya ndio tatizo hili la mashamba liwe historia, isiwe kila wakati wa siasa, wakati wa kampeni Wakenya bado wanauliza maswali yale kwa yale. Na niweze pia kuweza kukubaliana na Mheshimiwa Owen wakati aliposema ya kwamba kuna tashwishi ya kwamba huenda pengine wewe, na hiyo ni hisia yangu, ukirudi katika wizara hino utaweza kuendelea kuhujumu tume ya ardhi, kwa sababu wakati mmoja ulikataa kuongeza muda wa kushughulikia mambo ya historia za mashamba. Na tatizo hili ni tatizo nyeti katika bonde la Ufa, katika Pwani na Kenya kwa jumla. Kwa hivyo hivi sasa umesema ya kwamba mambo yatakuwa tofauti, tunataka tuone ya kuwa tofauti, kwa sababu tatizo hili bado liko, hatujaona ya kwamba kama tumefaidika katika mambo ya dhulma za kihistoria za mashamba. Swali langu la Kiingereza, what specific timeline?
The Kiswahili version was just a speech. Now ask the question.
Mwenyekiti, hilo ni swali na nafikiri Mheshimiwa Wahome ameelewa hilo swali. Honorable Chairman, what specific timeline did you establish when you are the Cabinet Secretary for the Ministry of Land for the completion of digitization of land records across all the counties? How many counties right now they have those digitized land records? What is your roadmap? Many times we have been putting some allocation in terms of this program of digitization of land records. So what are you telling? What is the status right now? We want to hear, because we know this is the only way where we can avoid some cartels, we can avoid some corruption and so many other anomalies. Thank you, Honorable Chairman.
Thank you. Sharia, we can take Sharia as well.
Thank you, Honorable Chairman. I think you're teaching us something new of saying no chairs. And Mheshimiwa Wahome, the country had formerly trust lands and fall under the Community Lands Act. It's public knowledge that the community land legal regime remains not fully operationalized, and if granted, has not been regime not fully operationalized. If confirmed, what possible solutions do you propose? I thank you, Honorable Chair.
Can you answer those, Alice?
Chair, from Honorable Sharia, trust lands, it is true, this most of this is what we call as community land. We have the Community Land Act 2016, and the Community Land Act is operational. We are registering community lands everywhere in the country, but it is a slow process because the communities, the members of those communities must sit and agree, prepare inventory, and it's not an easy process, because also we have seen that leadership sometimes within the communities is infiltrated by politics, but the preparation of the inventories is quite a tedious task, because every member is supposed to agree and sign, and then have that inventory forwarded by the office of the governor under the law process of registering. But we are on course in terms of various counties, and I believe we need the support, in fact, of elected leadership to expedite those processes as a government. Then Mheshimiwa Mishi is asking, I believe what she's asking me is a policy issue, and in terms of absentee landlord and people who have moved and become squatters on people's lands. We are in the process, Mr. Speaker, of finalizing the national land policy. It is a matter that should squarely be captured there, so that as a country we agree what to do. But also, we must not encourage, there is a lot of criminality in some of the people in terms of moving to people's land and becoming professional squatters. Those must be discouraged, but there are also genuine squatters that the country and the government need to work with and work on, that require sometimes the government to raise budget to purchase those parcels where the squatters are, and then do a land settlement in terms of the squatters. So the program in terms of land settlement is ongoing, is a program of the government. We need more funding for that. The government needs more funding to deal with that, Honorable Mishi. But I agree with you, there is a lot of this problem in terms of policy, and the policy would be very critical in terms of handling those. Then I think extension. Honorable Bayer, you accuse me of maybe being the person rejecting. I hope, Honorable Member, you haven't been given the wrong card in respect of my activities in terms. This particular, the commission has not come to me, want to extend. And in any case, the term of the commission in terms of historical land injustices was limited by the statute, not by the minister. Opening that would require an amendment, but also we must, and I, as a minister who has served, we must caution the country that we cannot have historical injustices for land perpetually. We need to be very careful, and also if we open, we must limit that to a certain period, because we are talking about historical, not current injustices can be done within our courts of law. We talk about historical, and that's why there was a time limit. Sorry, Honorable Speaker, I think there was a question on the digitization. Where we are, I had said earlier, we've...
The first question which I want to pose to you is this thing called Ardhi Sasa. The major problem, and that is why Kenyans are angry, is because a simple transfer of land or property from one individual to other take maybe 1 year or 2 years. If really we have a platform, if really it is digitized, why would it take inordinately such a long time if what you are explaining to... Secondly, I think the issue of corruption in land, it is not just simply said. I think examples are everywhere. In the county of Marsabit, we largely live on community land or trust land. But what is surprising, there are individuals who hold titles in areas that have not been adjudicated. And when they go to the ground, they are told, show us the extent of this land. And they cannot. So what is those individuals who are involved in titling are the ones who actually are illegally issuing illegal title deeds. Going forward, if the House is going to approve your nomination, what is it that you are going to do differently? Because, Honorable Speaker, I have to make this point. From what Honorable Alice has given the committee this afternoon, I think that committee may be running into headwinds with you, simply because you need to carry leaders along. Because land is not just anything. Land is about community, it is about people, it is about settlement. So people must really be carried along. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Speaker, and I want to ask the nominee. She has a broad ministry moving from land, public works, housing, and urban development. You must have a vision. And I want to ask the first question is that, what is your vision to sustain urban development in the 47 counties? And how do you plan to address the challenge of rapid urbanization in terms of planning, in terms of giving blueprints of how the water supply will be done, roads construction will be done, the issue of electrifying those urban areas, and the issue which is very fundamental of sewerage in most of upcoming towns within Kenya. Second of planning, published the National Building Code 2024 on 17th of July 2024. The code is expected to update the standards and the requirement in the construction industry and aims to resolve the various issues affecting the Kenya building economy environment. If approved, how would you support the execution of this code? Various associations, including the Association of Construction Managers of Kenya and Interior Designers Association of Kenya, have raised concern concern on being unrecognized by the code. What is your opinion and what is the remedy of this? In prayer on my first question, when you get to that ministry, are you, if you get to that ministry, are you, and do you have the capacity to give a vision of how do we want our towns and our urban areas be planned so that we can have proper coordinate leads? The housing program, you are also in charge. The last one, the assistant chiefs.
Mule, one question at a time.
Okay, can I finish with this? Can I finish with this?
You've hit two already.
This is the last one. As a minister for housing and ministry, and to implement the housing program, what do you visualize on how the common man at the village, the assistant chief, the chief who is paying the housing levy to benefit from the housing program in this country?
That question has been asked 4 times. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, but I think it is important to Mule.
Maybe I can start with it and say that I had said that I see this program of affordable housing is a new one.
Stages and is spreading.
And I see it going forward. I see it going to the rural areas as well. But for now, we are within urban centers. For obvious reasons, infrastructure, facilities.
The next question.
Yeah. Mukami had asked me about pending bills, Honorable Speaker. The pending bills, we have about 18 billion legacy or pending bills. Some of them from cases that are filed against the ministry. And these are being considered as part of the national pending bills from other ministries where a decision must be made so that we agree as a country with all the pending bills, including verification processes. That is a process being undertaken with the leadership of the National Treasury and the executive. So we will have decisions made together. Compensation, I don't understand which compensation, because compensation in terms of compulsory acquisition is done by the National Land Commission, and basically that is not within my mandate. It means those are pending cases or pending bills. I believe I could start with the question of Adisasa had been answered, but I am saying that this really, I'm thinking that we should get accommodation, because it's now real time possible to access your records and get information regarding your land records, especially when somebody else other than you want to access your records. You are the one to approve. I think the challenge for me is how to move faster to the other, maybe not now for me, for the ministry, for me if I'm approved, but for the ministry, the challenge is how to expedite. And I had said that with the necessary funding, it is possible to expedite. There is an issue you raised regarding titles in Marsabit or even elsewhere. Let me also warn the members, just alert the members and the public that it is not all titles that are out there that are actually valid titles or are titles. They could just be papers with no worth of a title deed. There are many, some are just made at Liver Road, like some of the cases the Honorable Majority Leader was raising, are title papers. When you look at them, they look like they are genuine, but they are made from River Road and they cannot transfer proprietary rights to any property. So I don't know what you are referring to in Marsabit. I think it would be important for me to have the records so that I'll be able to know what you are dealing with or referring to, or the ministry to their attention so that they can maybe stop whatever could be happening. And I agree, it is profound, and the land issue is obviously very emotive. So therefore, community land, be part of the community land processes so that you can help to expedite the community to have their land put in a title, because it's private land. Community land is considered as private land for that community. The rights are the same, so they would need to come back together quickly so that there is no land left without title. I think security would be secured by that. Individuals involving in titling from my ministry, I had agreed, and I also said we have a few we are processing in court. My vision is the vision of the ministry. The minister doesn't have a vision personally, but the ministry has a vision in terms of urban development. And in terms of urban development, we have the Urban Areas and Cities Act. And that is specifically addressing the problem of rapid growth of population vis-a-vis the facilities available in our small towns. And that's why the KUSIP, that is Kenya Informal Settlement Program, and Kenya Support Program for the urban areas has been developed, which of course is basically focusing on the facilities we have in all the towns, small and big, so that the planning becomes a condition, proper planning, PDP preparations, and all those physical planning for the land use and for the development use are part of the conditions for accessing the funding under those programs. So in the vision, those programs are for between, they are 5 years program, but looking forward, we need very elaborate cooperation between the county governments, because they are the ones in charge of the planning at the county, including survey work, so that then it is possible to have properly planned towns now before they become fully congested. My ministry, with the leadership of the Directorate of Physical Planning, former ministry, I beg your pardon, Mr. Speaker, has sufficient capacity to be able, and of course we can always increase capacity as a government, to be able to guide the county governments, and they always draw back for purposes of planning, and they seek support from us. And of course we have the Physical Planning Act that requires also to be maybe reviewed to capture some of the issues that you are raising. So my vision is to see well-planned towns that have all necessary facilities of a big town, but even better planned than our big towns like Nairobi. You cannot say that it is properly planned, but we can now have better planned towns. As they grow bigger, then they have the street lighting, water, sanitation, and every other, and of course including titling.
Thank you, Alice.
Yeah.
Alice, let me ask you one or two questions. Under Schedule 4 of the Constitution, the distribution of functions between the national government and county governments, you have the responsibility for housing policy and the general principles of land planning and the coordination of planning by the counties. For the period you have been minister in this docket, have you ever had a meeting with county government and coordination of planning by those counties? I ask this because if you look around the country, we have completely misstepped, so to speak, in our planning and land use activities. Anybody with the land touching on any road just wakes up and builds a shop. In the old days, if you look at all the urban, they were designated, meaning it is possible to easily provide security and amenities such as water and everything else. What have you done, and if you are confirmed, what do you plan to do to effect this constitutional responsibility?
Honorable Chair, it is not the easiest to actually work with county governments, you know, and for government, national government has been having its own challenges in terms of intergovernmental relationships. On my part, I haven't had a meeting with the county governments as a whole, but we have worked with different county governments in terms of their planning, and they have brought their planning document for sometimes for even for support in terms of that meets the thresholds that are required. I think going forward, I would say that it is necessary the COG so that we can agree, but they also think that the national government is encroaching a lot on their mandate, and they refer a lot to Schedule 4. And I do agree that quality standards, regulation, and of course capacity building is some of the things we are doing under the Kenya Urban Support Program. Within that, my ministry before me has held several meetings with the county, with the COG, and the CEO of COG has been a constant, and I think she's done a good job for the county governments. Yeah, has worked well with my ministry.
Some Kenyans sending messages to us.
Yes.
Why did she take sides with the Kirima's land dispute when she came into office?
I didn't take side with the Kirima land. I took side with the owner of the land. It could have been any other person. And when I pronounce myself as to ownership, in terms of dispute resolution, and that is what it is. My task is to say who is the owner, and I said that it's a long dispute, and at that time there was no outstanding court case.
Another Kenyan says the nominee has declined to answer a question from Dawood on how fees was increased from 300 to 3,000 without public participation. Another one says implementation, this is actually a member of parliament called Andon Olwach, that you've ignored the implementation of decisions of the House of Parliament on matters that have been brought to your attention following decisions in the House. Another person called MacDonald Walbengo says, why has the ministry not processed titles to public institutions and schools? Because my grandfather donated land to a school, and to date we are unable to get our own title and give the school the title on the land we donated. That's a very good Kenyan. Another one says, who are these cartels with government documents that the minister is talking about? Another one says, rich people are buying land from less for. What is the minister doing? Buying land from less for. What is the minister doing about that? Those are comments from Kenyans.
I think for schools, it's an important, very important question.
Is the one of the schools.
Yes, we have titled over 14,000, going to 15,000 title deeds for schools.
I actually, Alice, know of a school.
Title deeds for schools.
I actually, Alice, know of a school.
Yes.
That was given land by a generous person, and his grandchildren took away the land and kicked out the school.
Yeah, I think previously the institutions did not just schools, actually most government institutions, not just schools, actually most government institutions, and maybe that we should achieve, do not have titles. For the titles are supposed to be produced and
if you are confirmed, can you have a marshal to all public institutions within a year?
Those without issues, it is possible.
Yes,
as you emphasize on that public institutions, I want to add, including KICC. Yeah, thank you, Speaker. You know what I mean? Yeah. Including KICC.
Honorable Speaker,
ignore that. Go on.
Sorry.
Ignore that and go on.
As she knows. Thank you, Speaker.
Honorable Speaker, let me clarify on schools. We have over close to 15,000 schools that we have under our program. There is a program for titling of school titles, you know, and we have covered close to 15,000. The total is about 31,000. So I think we are on course. Possibly we need to expedite in terms of that. A few have disputes about 1,500, but I am not aware of any area that I have ignored to my attention. And should I be approved, I would want to engage him personally or get him. Yeah, I know him. I don't know what he's. I know him. I don't know what he's referring to. The fees that the member of the public, and it's important, is there was elaborate public participation. The fees of 300 shillings, 500 were fees that were for 1980. Prescribed, you know, when the act was actually, basically it's over 20, 30 years where we reviewed, and there was elaborate, and there is records of public participation. And I would also seek that Kenyans agree to support, because it's their government. Yeah.
Alice, you are so wordy. If there was public participation, just say so.
You know, Kenyans out there have said I haven't answered.
Yes.
Yeah, so I want them to understand, you know. Yeah.
Lastly, Alice, in a political party?
Not at all. Yeah.
Not at all. Have you ever been adversely mentioned in any integrity-related reports by any agency?
Not at all.
Not at all. Do you hold citizenship of any other country apart from Kenya?
No, only Kenya. And I have no interest.
What is your net worth?
I think that one I need to be... what did you tell us? About... Where is that? 300... Net worth.
You don't know your wealth of head?
No, not of. It's mine and my husband. So maybe what? It's 300 and what? 327,650,000.
How much were you worth when we last vetted you?
I was worth slightly less. When you vetted me, Mr. Speaker, last time, I was worth 218,400,000.
We have had some nominal growth.
Kidogo. Some.
You've grown by 100 million.
I have grown in those 2 years. Yes. Yes. I was just a few adjustments. It is the properties that have increased in terms of appreciation in value. And then there was one tenant that was not paying my family rent, and they paid about 14 million, about sometimes in March. So
did you use your office to get them to pay?
My office of MP, of minister?
Yes.
No, I don't. No, I don't.
I
am not the one who corrects the rent.
Thank you, Alice.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
We have checked your documents and we find them to be correct, except you can tell us there were 9 memoranda against in response to you. Did you respond to them in writing? The clerk.
And I would ask that the committee adopts my response.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Unless you are lawfully held.
Yeah, thank you very much.
You are released to go.
I'm free to go.
Yeah.
Thank you. It's a relief, Honorable Speaker.
It's a relief?
It's a relief. You know, I am jobless and I need the job. This is since 1985. This is one unique time when I am jobless. So, and I do appreciate the opportunity to be before the committee. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Alice.
Thank you.